I'm Sam.
And I'm Greg.
We're human beings. And we like movies.
We'll be doing reviews of brand new releases,
Old classics,
entire sagas,
and even TV shows and video games.
This is Reaction Time.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 60 of Reaction Time. Yay.
Yay, episode 60.
Yay.
Sam is super enthusiastic.
We are wasting this one on an Oscar-nominated movie for Best
That's
Picture.
not Oppenheimer.
It's not Oppenheimer, which also... we don't want to talk about that.
You just don't... You're just biased against the Oscars, okay?
Yeah, everybody is.
Yeah,
because
everybody
it's an
is.
absolute
It's all bad.
joke. It's a horrible joke. Anyway, if you don't read the titles and you just listen on autoplay, we are talking about the movie Poor Things.
Yep.
And poor us for having to watch this movie. Craig, right off the bat, what did you think about it?
Okay. So I got to give credit where credit is due.
Okay.
Okay. Acting across the board, I thought was all really, really good.
Okay.
Yeah. Emma Stone did great. Honestly, to me, this feels like the best I've seen her.
Okay.
Because most of her stuff is like
Comedy.
yeah. And it's just kind of the typical same person.
Yeah.
Willem Dafoe did great. I mean, Willem Dafoe. Mark Ruffalo actually thought was pretty funny. He was really weird, though.
Yeah.
The score, I actually thought was really cool.
Okay.
It was very different.
Okay.
So, it felt very like super old school, like
Yeah.
horror,
Yeah.
you know, from like freaking 1930s or
Super
40s.
old. Yeah.
Visually very weird.
Yes. Very weird. Very weird.
I'm going to give this an 8 out of 10.
Holy Moses.
I actually really like this movie.
Oh my word. Okay, cool. Okay.
And I knew I was going to surprise you with that because I've been like, yeah, I think, okay, I will say this right off the bat. You could cut an hour out of this movie.
You could cut 2 hours out of this movie. This is... Look, here's the deal.
Oscar nominee? No.
Absolutely not.
No, but I actually did enjoy this movie.
This is one of my least favorite movies that we've watched so far, but that's...
Other than Megamind.
Yeah, other than Megamind. I understand that it's mostly a personal preference thing because it is an
definitely.
artsy movie, and I do not like artsy movies.
Yeah.
At all. I actually hate them.
I'm growing to be more okay with them.
Oh, no. Craig's
I'm not
getting
saying,
old.
I'm
He's
not
getting old, you
saying
guys.
that I'm like...
Are you going to become one of those people who
No.
says you don't understand art?
No,
Or you're somebody who
No.
doesn't like story?
I am not going to say that because I 100% understand if somebody watched this and 100% hated it,
Yeah.
totally makes sense to me. But I knew it was weird going into it.
Yeah.
And I knew some of the other stuff as to why this movie is R. So I was more prepared for it. So if I had gone like not knowing anything about it, I wonder if I would have hated this movie.
Yeah. That makes sense.
But I was like, okay, I'm going to get in the mood of I'm going to watch something super weird.
Yeah.
That's super out there. I mean, I watched the trailers and I was like, okay, this is going to be one of those like far out there movies where everyone's like, oh, Oscar nominee. And if you hated it, you just don't understand it. And you can't appreciate symbolism and all that other kind of stuff. If you got to know like crazy historical things to understand symbolism, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, for sure.
But I was entertained.
Basically, I think that this movie would have been a way better Black Mirror episode because it did feel like some Black Mirror episodes. And I'm like, cut this down to like a 45, 55-minute episode of an anthology series, and it could be really cool.
Yeah.
But instead,
We got 2.5 hours.
we got 2.5 hours plus commercials. I have commercials on my Hulu. I'm sorry I'm not rich like you
You don't
are.
have the Disney Hulu?
I thought I did, and apparently I don't.
Oh.
So I got to figure that
Well,
out.
you probably have the ad one.
I obviously do.
The no ad one is like $5 more
Whatever. I don't know.
per year.
Anyway, I did not I'm going to give this movie a 4.5 out of 10.
Oh, wow. That's way higher than I thought.
So it's because I understand what was good about it.
Yeah.
And because a lot of what me not liking this movie is me not liking artsy crap like this. That's so... ugh. It's like the art that is very obviously... You go to a museum and you find art and you're like, this is very obviously bad.
Yeah, it's like a square.
But because they're
selling
famous
it
or
for
because...
$100,000.
No, not that.
Oh, okay.
Not the square, because that's different. I'm talking about art that is just like anybody could have painted it.
Okay.
It looks like something,
Yeah.
but I could have done it.
Yeah.
But because they understand the divine or they were on shrooms or whatever, all of a sudden it's this great piece of art, and if you don't get it, then you don't get it. That's what this movie felt like.
If you take the weird visuals out of this movie, I don't think any Oscar nominations would have happened. You could keep the same movie, keep the music, keep the acting, keep the story, but make it just look normal. And I don't think it would have been like, oh my gosh, this beautifully articulate movie, you know?
Yeah.
But because it looks like that, it's like, oh my gosh,
right. Like,
they understand cinema.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's another one of those movies that feels like it was made to be loved by the I don't know, bougie. Like the pretentious a-holes who love
Velma lovers.
who are like way into indie movies, who are like, you guys just don't really get it, do you? Like, ugh. I also think that Mark Ruffalo's acting was verging on like The Room. Like just
wow, really?
awful.
Okay.
Like it was
really
cringy bad.
Okay.
And his accent,
it
came and went. Like
I will agree with that.
So bad.
I will agree with that.
And there were a couple other people who were horrible actors as well. Emma Stone did do very good. Willem Dafoe is Willem Dafoe, so he was good.
Yeah, he was good.
But yeah, other than that, it was just a really, really bad. What I told Courtney was this felt like a bad Community play with a high budget. It's like, imagine your local theater. Like really low, and you live in a town of 4,000 people, pulls everybody together, and you say everyone has to do a British accent, and they're like, we don't know what that is, and like, just guess. And so everybody just guesses at a British accent and does community theater, but there's some donor that donates a buttload of money to make it look kind of cool. That's what this movie was.
Okay.
So not good.
Yeah. Okay.
The idea is great. The premise of the
really
movie
cool.
is really cool.
Really cool.
And it was so overshadowed by so much unnecessary crap that happened during the movie.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So
they took it in a way that they lingered on for too long.
For sure.
Like, I understand certain things, and we'll kind of get into it with spoilers, where it's like, I mean, obviously you're re-going through life in a way. So that some of that stuff would happen, but they fixated on some. That's what I'm saying. Like, you get rid of an hour and you get rid of majority of that. Yeah. And I think you have a really cool film.
I think so too. Basically, I think the first 2 hours of this movie needed to be 1 hour long.
Yeah.
And the last 30 minutes of this movie needed to be 1 hour long.
Yeah.
Because they
I
dragged out the beginning.
Love the ending.
I love it too, but it was way too short.
It was way too short.
Brushed over it.
Yeah.
So it was like,
I agree with that.
I think it was poor. I think it was poor writing on top of a good idea.
Yeah.
So again, I understand some of the good aspects of this movie. I'm not going to totally dog on it because there are some things that I kind of like, but most of it I hate. So we'll see kind of where we go from here. But yeah.
If you're okay with weird, I recommend it.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I do too. I mean, if you are that pretentious a-hole who loves movies that...
Are you calling me one of those?
No.
Okay.
You're saying people who love weird movies. I'm saying pretentious a-holes. Not the same people necessarily, right?
Yeah.
I'm saying those people who are like, who really feel like they understand art.
Yeah.
You're going to love this movie.
And if you feel like symbolism and all that other kind of stuff, you'll eat this up.
Yeah. It's... But if you're like me and you like just movies.
Yeah.
If you love Free Guy or like The Avengers and that's like kind of your stuff, please don't watch this movie. You're going to probably not like it. I don't know. I might be just completely wrong, but I think anything ever nominated for an Oscar is usually a pretty bad movie.
That's the new.
That's kind of my rule
That's the
of
Everything
thumb.
Ever All at Once sequel. Anything. What did you?
Anytime anything is nominated for an Oscar anywhere, any year, it's a bad movie. Not everything, but yeah, just
That's
not.
a pretty weird movie.
What is?
Everything Everywhere All at Once.
It's so differently weird.
It's so differently weird.
Because Everything Everywhere All at Once, I think because visually it's great.
It's so
and
cool
visually
looking.
it's not weird. There's
are
weird
some
stuff that
weird-
they do. There's
Yeah.
and some weird acts, but
Yeah.
visually the picture that shows up is palatable.
Yeah.
Whereas this is like everyone who made this movie was so on drugs the entire time. Watching this
So
movie is
I
like
have
trying to listen to a Pink Floyd album.
I have a thought on the visuals,
Okay.
but we'll have to
I have a lot of thoughts on it too.
we'll have to get into it because it.
Yeah. Should we jump into spoilers?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, let's
You
jump into
guys, we're going to jump into spoilers.
Subscribe.
Subscribe.
Join our YouTube. We have super cool tournaments.
We've been having fun over on YouTube.
Yeah.
So if you'd like to contribute, if you'd like to tell everybody which movie out of a tournament you think is best,
Yeah.
head on over.
Head on over.
All right, let's jump into spoilers.
Okay.
We can jump straight into the visuals.
Yeah.
My only note says, I'm not into the artsy stuff.
My two notes are the poor toad that they just squish.
I thought that was funny, but also I hated that.
It was funny, but I also hated it.
Yeah.
And then what was with the burping?
Yeah,
They
I mean,
just like burp like a.
it's just weird. I mean, he explains it, I guess, but it's still weird.
Did he explain it?
So
I missed
I guess
that.
he didn't explain the burp, but he explained
Okay.
all of the things he was pumping into his body. Did you miss that?
I missed that.
Okay, so if I'm getting this wrong, I'm sorry. Basically, he says we learn a couple times throughout the movie that Willem Dafoe's father had experimented on him a ton as a kid.
Yes.
Basically, what he said is when I was a kid, my dad took out all of my gastrointestinal fluids to see if people really needed them, and he's like, it turns out you do, but you can't just put them back in. So he had to create this whole contraption to
okay.
pump all that stuff
That
into
makes more
him.
sense. I
and
missed
so I
that.
think it's just a weird,
It's just the thing he has to do to get
has-
rid of it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So.
It's just, but he just like, for people who haven't seen it, he'll just sit and be like, ah.
And
then,
just
like,
this bubble comes
just
out.
like comes
but it's
out.
like almost like a solid bubble.
Yeah.
Like it's not a flu. It's like a crystal ball flies out of his body. And it's tough because I think, and I try not to do this, but I just do inherently do this. I think about what would, in my
Jesus
mind, in my mind, what would make this movie perfect, right?
Okay.
And I was like, okay, let's take the idea of it because I love that.
Yeah.
Let's turn it into a little bit more of maybe a thriller.
Yeah.
That's a little bit more normally displayed to
Yeah.
everybody. And then it's like a really, really, really cool movie with an interesting idea.
Yeah.
Versus here's this interesting idea. And if you're not like super gaudy, like art and you love symbolism, then you're not really gonna like this
Yeah,
movie.
yeah.
Right. So that's where I'm conflicted because I understand that just because I don't like it doesn't mean it's not great.
Yeah.
But I just with the visuals, it's hard for me to understand where the line is between creatively basic and super lazy. Because a lot of the backdrops and CGI and stuff just look like hot garbage.
Yeah.
And it's like, you can kind of tell they did that on purpose.
Yeah, like the boat and everything.
Yeah, it's all really bad,
Yeah.
but it's like not as purposely bad as kind of, in Barbie when it's all just this cartoony kind of set
Yeah.
almost. That feels more on purpose, and this is almost like we don't know if it was on purpose or not, but it looks bad and it's cool.
So let me say how I interpret the visuals, and maybe it'll help, or maybe it'll make it worse. I'm not sure. So, just kind of a quick story. What happens is Emma Stone jumps off a bridge and she drowns, and Willem Dafoe finds her. And basically, she's like, there's still energy in her, so she's dead, but. And this one thing doesn't really make sense to me. Was the baby more alive than her? What did transplanting the brain do if they were both dead?
That's what I was. I think he says something about her being basically on the verge of death, or something.
So maybe the baby was more alive.
And I'd assume that if a mother dies, a baby lives a little bit longer.
Okay, so maybe it was
I would
that
assume.
like
I don't
pivotal
know
point,
that,
right?
but-
So basically, they take her baby out. They take the baby's brain out because the baby's dead, right? It's not going to live.
Yeah.
So they take the baby's brain out and they put it in her.
Yeah.
And then revive her.
Which when I found that out, I was like, oh, this movie might be cool.
Yeah. It's Frankenstein, right? So she's a baby, right? And she's been confined to this house for majority. Well, and I guess not majority because she's already old because she was old. She's confined to this place for who knows how long.
Not super long.
Because
at some point he says she's like 6 months or a year or something. She's she's a baby.
Yeah.
Full on.
So I almost interpreted the visuals of if you never went outside, okay, and you didn't know what the world looked like, and you were seeing it for the first time, it'd be much grander or different looking than somebody who's used to outside.
That makes sense.
So I almost interpreted the visuals that way. It was almost through her eyes, and she was like, because, you know, a lot of stuff was like lit up, you know, and it was like almost fancy looking. And so that's kind of how I interpreted. Maybe they were trying to do something like that.
Yeah.
Or they were just lazy.
Craig is a pretentious a-hole.
I'm just kidding. No, that makes sense. I like that point of view.
Yeah.
The other thought that I had was this does feel like one of those movies that feels like a play, both in the way it looks and the way that it's acted.
Yeah.
Because this wasn't acted like movie acting. It was mostly acted as play acting, which is more over the top, more cheesy, but kind of in your face, get the point across type of acting. And I can get behind some of that stuff. So if they wanted to kind of match the vibe with more of a, you know, a theater set than a big movie set, I get it. And I get some of and it's just the artistic choices that I just don't love, right? Same thing with the camera work where there was a lot of the little fisheye.
Yeah.
I didn't really like that. But I understand how it's cool.
Yeah, and it felt like, almost like a play. Like we were like seeing her.
Yeah.
Right? Like we were looking through binoculars or something like that, like seeing her.
My issue with that is if they really are trying to do symbolism and stuff, it feels like that should have, because it almost feels like it happened randomly, right?
It was totally random.
It didn't only happen with her.
Yeah.
It didn't only happen from a certain point of view, from a certain person. It just would randomly have that.
Yeah.
And it kind of feels like, it's like, oh, there's this really cool artistic choice. Let's do it.
Yeah.
But we don't know exactly why, so we're just going to like do it randomly.
Yeah,
and people
it's
can
not.
decide.
It's not like game night when they're undoing the lock and it's the camera's turning
100%.
with it. You know.
Yeah, it's very different. So that just felt like being artsy for the purpose of being artsy, which is what I don't like.
Yeah.
So
I would say if the visuals were normal, I would have liked the visuals even more.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think of maybe why they did it that way, but I'm not like, oh man, these visuals were so amazing.
Yeah.
Because I didn't feel that way. When I saw the boat, I was like, yeah, that looks bad.
The one thing,
or the floating tram,
whatever that was.
I'm like, what am I looking at?
The one thing I there's basically only one thing about the visuals that I do like, and it's and maybe it's probably a mix between kind of story and visuals, but I love the uncertainty of what freaking era you're in. Because
and if we're even on the same like
reality
universe,
or planet, because it's very probably late 1800s, early 1900s, kind of.
Yeah.
But there's also some really kind of high-tech looking stuff. There's some modern architecture.
Yeah.
But there's no phones.
And there's hot air balloons rather than planes.
Yeah, and there's basically only like Frankenstein technology.
Yeah.
There's nothing crazy. So it's I liked that about it, where I'm just like, I don't know when or where this takes place.
Yeah.
So cool and very vibrant, you know, when it gets into, and I like that it starts black and white and gets into
it starts color and then goes black and white and then goes to color.
And, you know, I like that, and I like how vibrant it was. So there are some redeeming qualities. I just felt like, to me, as a really basic low IQ viewer, it was the visuals felt more lazy than they did clever.
I feel that way too.
Me, so.
As a very below IQ.
No, Craig's high IQ, guys.
Super high IQ.
He understands the symbolism.
Yes. so much.
Greg has a 600 IQ. My IQ
601.
My IQ is the same as my ACT score. So, okay. What would you give the visuals?
Yeah, that's about mine. I'll do a 150.
Okay.
Like, I thought they were cool. I like some of the things that they did.
Yeah.
But yes, there was a lot of off stuff. All the creatures that were like half like duck, half dog or whatever, none looked great.
No, but I liked
them.
I liked them.
But none looked like, especially
Yeah.
when it went into color. The black and white ones looked a little better, but when it went into
Yeah.
color, I was like, damn, that's like a CGI dog
Yeah,
face
for
on
sure,
like a
for
freaking
sure.
turtle or whatever.
Yeah.
They were fun though.
Yeah, they were fun. I'm going to give it a 118
Okay.
for all of the reasons.
Yeah.
Okay. The story.
Story. I have one note,
Okay.
and you know what that note is.
Oh, yes, I do. This is one of my notes, but I have multiple, so I'll let you pull that note.
So,
wait, do you want to? Well, you can go ahead.
Well, I was going to kind of like,
Here, let me. My notes are before that.
Okay,
that's
yeah,
my
go,
last
go,
story note.
go.
So I'll do mine real quick, and then I'll let you go into yours.
perfect.
So first of all, when I just didn't really know where the movie was going.
No.
And I was kind of like, not feeling it. Then when you find out that he had put the baby's brain into her head, I was like, okay, this is cool.
Yeah.
And I already said that. But that kind of got me a little intrigued. And then as the movie went on, it just
Kind of
got less exciting that that's what had happened.
Yes.
They didn't make that as intense of a thing going forward.
Right.
So didn't love that they didn't really capitalize on that idea. So yeah, there's that. And then besides the line you're going to say, my favorite line was, let us touch each other's genital pieces. It's great. I told Courtney, I said, Courtney, this is the exact way I'm initiating sex from now on. It's just, let us touch each other's genital pieces. So
have you done that since then?
I have not.
Oh, okay.
So far I'm 0 for 0. I'll let you guys know how it goes. I'm not expecting a high
Maybe
success
on
rate.
episode 69?
Ooh, we'll find out. I'm gonna be 0 for 1,000 pretty soon. I will tell you guys. Okay, and then Craig, you can go ahead with yours.
So basically, as we described, she's like a baby, right? She kind of grows up, and she's like a teenager when she pretty much goes away with Mark Ruffalo. She's supposed to marry this guy that's been like monitoring her and like keeping notes with Willem Dafoe. And so she goes out with Mark Ruffalo because he basically is like Aladdin, and I can show you the world, you know?
Yeah.
They ride on a cart, just kidding. But
I can show you the
imagine Mark Ruffalo and Emma Stone just floating on a...
That would happen in this movie.
That would happen in this movie.
Yeah.
So they go and they're at this like dinner, and again, she's like a teenager, but even less intelligent than a teenager because she doesn't understand just like common sense and like, you know, manners and stuff like that. So they're having dinner, Mark Ruffalo and her and this other couple, and she keeps just saying, she speaks her, you know, her mind, right? 'Cause
Yeah.
she's like a kid.
Yeah.
And so this baby's like crying, and she just gets up and she's like, I must go punch that baby.
Oh, it's so funny. It is hilarious.
And having 2 kids, I get it.
She's like a 4-year-old. You know, 4-year-olds, they
Yeah.
know plenty enough to talk full sentences, but they don't understand social cues. So they'll walk up to you and be like, Mommy, why are you fat?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, okay, ouch. You know? So that's exactly how she is. So that is, it is funny to watch her kind of develop and stuff. What I don't get is there are some things that they just don't address at all. So they're like, yeah, she's basically a baby. She's learning every day. Also, her hair is growing 1 inch every day. And it's like, okay, weird detail for no reason. And then just throughout the movie, her hair gets super long.
Do younger kids grow hair faster?
Nope, not 1 inch a day.
No, definitely not 1 inch a day. I don't know.
It's so dumb. It's one of those things where like, we're going to slip this in it. Nobody's going to get it except for me and Joe over at Craft Services.
What you didn't understand is her hair growing 1 inch a day is a symbolism for something else.
Of her intelligence. She's So smart. Yeah, so whatever. And then
That's random. I didn't even realize that he said that.
Yeah, it's so dumb.
Maybe I missed so much of this movie. That's why I liked it.
Yeah, you're just like not. It was on in the background, and you're like, she's a baby. Cool. Wait, she's naked. Okay.
All right. Oh, Emma Stone.
Oh, it's over. Cool. Great movie. And then the other thing that I just don't like that I kind of talked about, the whole climax of the movie, pun intended, where at the end her actual husband shows up.
Yeah.
He's a pretentious a-hole.
Yeah.
And there's a theme here. And he shows up.
made the
He's like,
movie.
this is my actual wife. And then she's like, no. And then they turn him into a goat. And then the movie ends.
I mean, you're missing a couple things.
Prove it. Like what? What am I missing?
Well, she doesn't just say no. She goes.
Yeah, okay.
She goes there, and then you realize he's a pretentious asshole.
Yeah.
And then doesn't she shoot him?
She does shoot him.
Yeah.
She shoots him in the leg.
Yeah.
And she watches him bleed out.
And then
they turn him into a goat.
goat. See, you missed a couple things.
But that
in there.
whole thing, like she's about to get married to the person she's actually supposed to get married, which poor guy. He's been waiting for a minute.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess he ends up with her, right? But still.
Yeah.
And then, 20 minutes later, he's a goat. Which, dang, that was quick.
I will say there was a lot of times where they kind of teased horror aspects to this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like when they're going to throw the grandma off the boat,
Mm-hmm.
which is another like, okay, what? That was random, you
Yeah.
know? But so I get that where it's like it went almost so far with the husband to like kind of like a thriller, like, oh, what's happening? But there was only little teeny random moments. It felt so out of place.
Yeah.
But it was one of the best parts if they had expanded a little bit, you know,
Yeah.
spent a little bit more time with this whole thing and her being locked up, because it was like, you can't leave, and then she shoots him, and then
And then she leaves.
and then she leaves.
Yeah.
So it was like you spend an hour of her being what's the fancy word for it?
Being kidnapped?
No, like a hooker. What's the
A whore.
a whore? Thank you.
Prostitute. A sex
Yeah,
worker.
Yeah.
A lady of the night, if
Yeah.
you will.
A
A
lady
red
of the
light
night.
district galley. You know, just
A Roxanne.
a Roxanne. Roxanne!
Which I felt was like, oh yeah, I mean, she's in a place, she's got no money, she's all alone.
Yeah.
She's not intelligent enough to really do work.
Yeah.
So she finds that as the way that she can work.
It felt like Les Mis, but she liked it.
Yeah, she definitely-
Honestly, like that's what it reminded me. I was like, this is very different from Les Mis because they both have no money, so they have to become a sex worker. And Emma Stone's like, hell yeah.
Well,
and
yeah,
Anne
'cause
Hathaway's
she's-
like, this is the worst.
well, yeah, she's like a freaking teenager, so she's
Yeah.
like, I love this,
Yeah.
you know?
It's very interesting,
But
though.
it was like, okay, we get it, you know?
Yeah.
Because then it kept like,
It could have been a montage.
oh, you could have
It
showed a
could-
couple people.
Yeah, a
'cause there
couple.
was some funny parts where she was like,
Oh, for sure.
you know, she sits the one guy down and she's like,
Oh, you're gonna
Tell
tell,
me
a
about, like, your
childhood.
childhood
You're gonna tell me a
memory.
childhood memory, and then I'm gonna tell you a joke.
Yeah.
And then we'll rub each other down in No, we'll give it a quick sniff, and if it needs, we'll rub each other down in a lavender oil so that it's a more pleasurable experience.
Like,
And that's funny.
hilarious.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But I didn't need to see the dad having sex with her
In front of his
while her
sons.
two kids were writing down notes.
Yeah.
Right? I didn't need that in my
No.
life.
No.
And I never can get that out of my life.
Yeah.
You know,
I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think that used to be a real practice,
I'm sure it did.
which is weird. But
Did I need to see it?
No.
No, just
You
like
did
I
not.
didn't need to see in Dune the uncle and the nephew kiss each other. I didn't need to
that
see
didn't
that.
turn you on.
No, not even a little bit.
Dang. Just kidding. Yeah. No, you're right. So.
So I
By the
think
way,
they just-
you know that he's the guy in Mamma Mia, right?
Which one?
The big, fat, ugly, naked guy.
Which person in Mamma Mia?
The main guy.
The freaking GoldenEye.
Stellan Skarsgård.
007, James Bond.
No, I don't think so.
That's the main guy in Mamma Mia.
No. How do you spell Stellan? Stellan Skarsgård.
Is it Pierce Brosnan?
No, Pierce Brosnan is, I believe, in Mamma Mia, but that's
the main guy.
No, it's the main guy. So Pierce Brosnan, I think, is the current guy, but I think this is the one that got away guy.
Oh, I don't know. I saw Mamma Mia one time, and I have tuned it out of my brain for all eternity.
Me too. Okay, whatever. That's neither here nor there. I literally stopped you in the middle of your point to tell you that the big, fat, ugly, naked guy is in Mamma Mia. Okay, go on.
So I think you could have cut out some of that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I get it because she's basically going through life, right? And she's experiencing the good and the bad, right? Because that stuff did and still does happen, you know?
But when's the last time you saw a montage in a movie and you're like, they should have drawn that out?
Exactly.
Never, because the reason you do a montage is because you're making the movie and you realize, we don't need to show every detail. We just need to show that this is happening.
I think the problem was, and this goes with no hard feelings, was they had this great idea and they get the only director that they can find or no, maybe not director, the only writer that they can find. And he's like, yeah, that's a cool premise. Let me write out this whole story. And they're like, I don't really like this story, but we don't have time to redo it. Let's have Emma Stone naked a bunch of times and people will watch it.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. And let's get the Hulk in there. He's going to say, that's my secret, Emma. I'm always angry. What a loser. You know who directed this movie?
Yeah, the guy who did The Lobster.
Yeah, what's his name?
I don't know.
Yorgos Lanthimos.
I've never seen The Lobster, but I've heard about it.
He's not a goat. I'll tell you that.
Have you seen Zathura?
No, but I've heard about Zathura.
There's a part where there's a goat with like 9 eyes. And the one kid's like, it's not a goat. It's not a goat. So the husband got what he deserved, which was great. And I loved the ending, but it was like, give me that thriller that you were kind of teasing. Mm-hmm. Because the music felt very unsettling and very horror type. But there was only a couple times where it was like really like freaky.
Yeah.
You know?
I agree. What are you going to give the story?
I'll give it a 155.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it 75 points for a clever idea.
Yeah.
I'm going to tack on 20 points for some funny lines.
95.
And I'm going to give it 5 points for being for the goat. So 100 points. I'll give it 100.
I like how you did that.
Yeah. I already had that broken up in my mind. All right. So you thought the acting was phenomenal.
Okay, hold on. I
You
didn't say
it
phenomenal.
You said it was great all across the board.
I thought it was pretty great all across. I actually liked Mark Ruffalo. So I understand the accent was not good, but I felt like he fit in the movie.
Yeah.
Because the movie was so weird, so he was so over the top, which I thought was funny.
Let me ask you this.
Okay.
Have you ever made a movie?
No.
Okay, so let's pretend you're making a movie.
Okay.
And the time period and the location and where people are from is totally ambiguous. Nobody really knows.
Okay.
And you've got this actor you want to work with, and he's American. And he can't do a British accent to save his life.
Right.
What do? You
don't have him do the British accent.
Crazy. You guys. Crazy. Genius man here. Why have him do a British accent if it's that bad?
I don't know.
So that's almost on the writers or directors in a way.
Yeah.
Because it's horrific. He's so bad.
Yeah.
Anyway, go on.
I get it.
Yeah.
So I will say I think Emma Stone stole the entire show.
For sure.
And I thought she did incredibly well, not with just voice, but with physical acting.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So
From the
good.
start.
Yeah.
And the way that she was able to because she had to change
Yeah,
as she went.
yeah.
She had to get
less trippy and less weird.
She had to talk better, but slightly. She had to walk better.
Yeah.
All this kind of stuff just throughout the movie. I think she was great.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Willem Dafoe did great. So who else bothered you? I mean, there's like four
the
characters.
worst actor in the whole movie is Harry. The only black person in the whole movie. Why'd they do that? No, sorry. There are two black people. The dude that she meets on the boat.
Uh-huh.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, he wasn't great.
Oh, that was bad.
That was Harry.
Like bad. Yeah, that's Harry.
Yeah.
Bad acting.
Yeah, that wasn't good.
The villain guy, her husband at the end, was fine.
He was fine.
Mark Ruffalo. Here's my issue.
The old lady was fine.
The old lady was fine. My issue with Mark Ruffalo was that not only was his accent coming and going, but there was one word that he could not say in an accent. And it just so happened to be the F word. And it just so happened that was every other word that he said. Every time he said it, it was like American current 2024 Mark Ruffalo. And then back into like 1800s trying to do a British accent. And it was jarring. It was horribly jarring.
I did not notice that well.
Maybe
that
he
much.
was acting fine, and I couldn't even pay attention to it because the accent was so bad.
That makes sense. Because I thought he acted well.
I think he did too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
maybe if he had been a mute, he would have been great.
Yeah, because he had to be so many different emotions at times.
Yeah.
Which I thought he did great.
And he was crazy, which he does good at crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he just didn't do it for me at all. And Willem Dafoe was good, but Willem Dafoe can be great, and he wasn't really allowed to be great in this movie.
Yeah,
There
this wasn't Green Goblin.
You think about Green Goblin in No Way Home. I mean, in Spider-Man, he's perfection,
Yeah.
right? But in No Way Home, just like it's some of the best acting ever done.
Out of all of them, he's the best.
Yeah, and so you look at this, and he just kind of feels wasted.
Yeah.
But that's nothing against him. But he just wasn't allowed to shine. So it's like I can't really give bonus points for it. It was just like he was a good actor in this movie. So yeah. So that's kind of all I have to say about it.
Okay. What are you going to give it?
Emma Stone was great, but other people were actually bad. So it kind of, I'll give it a 145.
Okay.
No. I'm trying to weigh them correctly. Because Emma Stone was probably close to 200.
Yeah, she was.
Willem Dafoe, I can't even score it because it was just there and it was good. And then some people were bad. I'll give it a 152.
Okay. I'll do a 171.
Okay.
Yeah. What did I give for visuals?
A 150?
I'll give it a 155 because he looked really good.
Oh,
I forgot about him.
His
prosthetics, they were really good.
You're right.
So
it did look good. I'm not giving it any more points, but you're right. Okay, so the score. You like the music. My only note says I don't like the music.
Okay.
My notes for visuals, I'm not into the artsy stuff, and for score, I don't like the music.
It felt so original. I know it wasn't. I know it was very 1930s, but it felt so original because it hasn't been done in a long time.
Yeah.
And the whole time I felt unsettled, which I think is what they were going for.
Yeah.
So at the same time, there was no this isn't something where it's like, oh my gosh, that was the most crazy thing I've ever heard or beautiful thing I've ever heard. But overall, I thought they did really well with the score, and it felt really good throughout it.
Yeah. At the end, it felt super good. Literally, the very last scene where they're out in that backyard or whatever, and he's a goat. The music was fantastic.
So
I was like,
good.
oh, wow, this is really good. And the rest of the movie, I 100% agree with what you're saying, that they did a good job at making you feel uneasy and getting that kind of old-timey sound. I just didn't like it.
Okay.
And
The first time I heard it, it was like, ooh.
Yeah.
And then over time, I liked it.
I liked some of it. I liked some of the kind of the slidey kind of keyboard sound. But when they would there were times where they would do just strings, and it was really high pitched for a long, drawn out thing. That I didn't love.
Yeah.
It started to feel unnecessary because it was distracting, and it was like literally hurting my ears.
But then there were the strings I was like,
yeah, and those were cool.
Like really
so
thrilling.
It was kind of all over the place. They did a good job at what they were trying to do, I think. But for me, it was just a little bit too much on the side of weird.
Yeah. It was definitely
because
weird.
if they had pulled back a little bit on the weirdness and still kind of left it how it was, I think it would have been really good.
You would have loved this movie if they did that for all of it.
Yeah.
If they pull back on the weirdness.
Yeah. Yep. If they would have just gotten like Peter Jackson to just direct a 40-minute
And then Orlando
movie.
Bloom instead of Mark Ruffalo.
Orlando Bloom instead of Mark Ruffalo, Viggo Mortensen instead of Emma Stone, and John Rhys Davis instead of Willem Dafoe. And
Oh man,
I don't know. Elijah Wood could have been the husband.
Instead of like a scalpel to cut people, he just his axe to come
Just
down.
the axe. Aragorn pulls out Narsil, the blade that was broken, forged once again. And
man.
Gollum as all of the chickens and dogs. I don't know. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
I'll give it a 179. I did enjoy it.
Dang. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll give it a 108.
Okay.
Oh, I just did 08. Good year.
Oh wait.
Vibe.
180.
Okay.
Yeah.
My vibe says, my note says, already a no for me. And I think I wrote that pretty early.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And then just my comment about the movie feeling like a play with a bunch of bad actors and a high budget. It's gonna get a low vibe for me.
Yeah. You just didn't understand it.
Yeah. I'll give it a 47.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So yeah, I feel like I've said most of what I wanted to say.
Oh yeah.
Like I get it. I get the movie.
Yeah.
I understand what they were going for.
Yeah.
I also understand that I really think I feel like they were making the movie with the Oscars in mind.
100%.
And I don't like
100%.
that at all. I hate that.
Literally, again, I think if you take the weird visuals out, this doesn't even. I don't even think this gets noticed, other than Emma Stone's performance, right?
Yeah.
And they did that because they wanted to be so weird that the Oscars would eat it up.
Because if you make this movie, right, and it looks normal, you
Yeah.
take all the weird visuals out and stuff, and you put in actors who do just as good of a job, but nobody knows them.
Mm-hmm.
What is this movie,
Yeah.
right? Because it's not a super well-known director. It's not well-known producers or anything. It's just people who made this movie who got some high-level actors or whatever. And it's... And I just realized 3 Marvel actors as the main cast. Look at that.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's because Marvel's everywhere. though.
Marvel's out here pulling, bro. They pulling.
New Disney Plus show.
New Disney Plus. Gwen Stacy, the Hulk, and the Green Goblin team up to put a baby inside of a woman. That's the weirdest plot. You guys, Avengers 5 plot leaks.
Oh, man.
Oh, I'm a genius. Okay, Craig. What did you give the movie out of 1,000?
862.
That feels high, but we'll see.
Does it?
I think I gave it a 509. Craig,
That might be high.
840. You weren't too far off.
okay.
You weren't too far off.
What did you guess?
Wait, what did I say you gave it? 840?
Yeah.
I said a 509.
Or was it 502?
Oh, 525.
Oh, okay. Nice.
We were both pretty close.
Yeah.
We're getting pretty good at this. Pretty good. I'm pretty close to my number and you're pretty close to your number.
Yeah.
So, turns out
It's weird
Our
how
scoring
sometimes
system
they
is
like they're
Sometimes
so
it's so
close, and
close.
other times they're just so far off.
that is weird because I always think
because
our
it's just vibe.
I always think our out of 10 is just vibe, which I guess maybe it
For
is.
the most part, it is.
I mean, I gave the movie a 4.5 out of 10, but on this I gave it like a 2 out of 10.
yeah, I was gonna say your vibe was much lower.
Yeah. Interesting. What's your knowledge on the box office
None.
of this movie? Mine either. Was this even in theaters? It was.
Yes,
Is
but
it
it was
still?
limited.
Wait, when was this?
I think it was December
Ah,
because we wanted to go see it,
okay.
and I think it was December.
Yeah.
It's definitely not still in theaters.
Okay.
And it was limited.
I personally feel like this is going to be really low.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to decide how low.
Yeah, that's me too. Like, is
It's
it?
that, for some reason, it's that 100. No, what am I thinking? 100 million? Yeah, that 100 million mark where I'm like, over, under.
Yeah,
If
see, I'm
it's
thinking
over, though,
like
does
a
it?
50 million mark.
Yeah.
Is it over under?
It's tough.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay, I have a number.
I do too. Okay.
All right, I'll go first.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1, 73.
14.
Wow, 14.
Yeah.
You probably know more about the release though. If you're going for 14,
No, I just know it was limited. That's all I know.
This would be our lowest ever reviewed because I believe that's $1 million less than Kiss Kiss Bang
other
Bang.
than Megamind. It's made $4.
It didn't spend or make any money according to the internet.
I could be really low. I'm thinking limited release, so I'm thinking not many people saw it.
Yeah.
But you might be right if it got word of mouth.
108.
Wow.
Wow.
Okay.
That actually was my first number that I was going to say, and then I was like, oh, no, it's too much.
I wasn't even thinking like 50. I was like, ugh. I don't know
75 of it was international, though.
that makes sense.
So 34 domestic because international people love them weird movies.
Yeah.
They love it. Guess the highest grossing international country.
Oh, I mean, it's usually China, but
I will tell you, I don't think this movie released in China
yeah.
because probably of the
France.
boobies. Italy,
Oh,
which is interesting.
yeah. It almost felt like a France, like,
Yeah, and France was number 5,
okay.
but did half of what Italy did.
Dang.
It's interesting.
Italy. Okay.
Yeah, and it
If you want to
opened-
make a movie like that, just make sure it releases in Italy.
Yeah, opened to 660,000 in the U.S.
Dang.
It's like pretty. That's pretty
It
small.
opened to 660,000 and went on to make 25 million in the U.S.
35,
Holy crap!
which is really interesting.
That's literally like pretty insane.
I'm assuming when it says domestic opening, that's the weekend,
Yeah.
right? That's crazy.
Wow. Okay.
All right,
Dang.
108 million in the books.
Ugh. Man, I'm failing on box office.
I have won the last 4.
Shut up.
But there are. Did I win Argyle?
You won
Is
Argyle.
Argyle out of theaters? Probably not.
Probably
Actually,
not.
No, because that
No.
came out my birthday. So that's only been out a month and a half.
That's probably not out.
Argyle box office
What's
mojo. I'm gonna see.
Dune at?
So Argyle is at 94, which I think it was last time we checked. So maybe it's out of theaters.
Yeah, I think it was 94.
94.6. I think I saw what Dune was at.
I know Panda beat it.
Oh, did it?
Yeah. Yeah, Kung Fu Panda opened at like 55 million.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Let's see box office.
I think the last time I checked it was like 3.
It's above 3 for sure. It's at 379 right now.
Dang.
So it's not looking great for me. Well, I said 610.
Yeah.
And you said
It might-
932.
I think it's going to fall like honestly super close to in between ours.
Really?
Yeah.
It just is what worries me is, and maybe it's just the algorithm, right? Every time I get on social media, there's something there.
Yeah.
There's a meme, there's a video, there's this. Dune Part 2 is way more a cultural phenomenon than Dune Part 1 was. Like way more.
Yeah, but that was because it released on Max with theatrical release, and it was
the first part did?
first part released on streaming.
Really?
Yeah, and it was still during COVID.
I didn't even realize that HBO Max was out at that point.
Well, maybe it wasn't. It released streaming. I don't know if it was Max.
okay.
I thought it was Max.
But it just feels like everybody knows about it now, whereas before
It's
the
feeling
first
like
part,
it's feeling like a new Star Wars.
it kind of does.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've seen so many funny freaking videos about it.
I'm just wondering. I'm curious if it's got the legs.
We're 2 weeks in.
I know,
That's not very long.
but we've got Godzilla coming out. We've
Yeah.
got the Fall Guy, and I, mean,
yeah.
I guess that's May, so
It's got time.
it's got time. I mean,
Huh.
I didn't think Oppenheimer was going to do as well as it did, and it.
Oppenheimer really picked up in the second
Yeah,
half.
but that was
of its
also
life.
Barbenheimer, like
Yeah.
totally You take Barbie out of Oppenheimer, and I think it does well, but it's nowhere near.
You know what? You're actually probably right.
945 million than it did.
Yeah.
So
interesting.
Because almost everybody that went and saw Barbie was like, I got to go see Oppenheimer now. You know?
That's true.
And so it was like a duo.
That's true. I'm going to be very curious to see what this movie does, though. Very, very curious.
Yeah.
Indeed. What's our next guy? What's our next movie? Craig?
I don't know.
We got to...
Well, Godzilla and King Kong's at the end of the month, so we'll see that one.
Okay, sweet. We...
Roadhouse.
Oh, yeah.
Do you want to watch
Roadhouse
that? I think
soon.
that's out.
I thought that was March 28th.
Gosh,
or is it March 14th?
Is it that long? I saw reviews on it, so I was thinking it was out.
Let's see. Roadhouse.
Or close to being out.
Texas Roadhouse.
Jake Gyllenhaal's new movie.
Texas Roadhouse.
He goes to Texas Roadhouse and eats food.
Roadhouse movie. I just want this one now. When is the release? Why is it so hard in the world that we live in to find the release date of a film?
Probably because it's streaming.
Roadhouse movie release date, March 8th.
Yeah.
It's been out for a week?
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought it was out.
Why the heck? Should we watch that one next?
Yeah, let's do it.
Sick. We're
Cool.
back on the Gyllenhaal train.
Yeah.
And this time, he shredded. And then upcoming movies, we have Godzilla. Let's see. I want release date newest. Oh, gosh. This is unhelpful. Okay. Well, I'm not going to waste my time trying to look for that. Now playing. Kung Fu Panda. Wait, when does If come out?
May.
Why did it say March? Oh, that's
imaginary.
That's a completely different
Yep.
movie. Mm-hmm. Yep, I'm seeing that
It's
now.
a scary.
Yes, it is. It's very, very scary.
Funny that two of the same type of movies about imaginary friends, one horror, one not, would come out in the same year.
Yeah. Kind of spooky.
Yeah.
Okay, here it is.
Somebody probably
Ghostbusters? Are we watching Ghostbusters?
No. I never saw the other one.
The other one was weird because
Afterlife?
I didn't see it, but didn't it like almost kind of come out and then it kind of came out and then it was like, because it wasn't a COVID movie. And it was like, oh.
Maybe. The only one I saw was the one, the all-girl cast, which was not good.
Yeah. So Godzilla vs. Kong is the last week of the month.
Yeah.
Let's
go see that one.
And then April has Monkey Man, which I really want to see.
Ooh, Monkey Man.
Do you want to see Monkey Man?
I did want to see Monkey Man.
Because it looks freaking cool.
Yeah.
I'm trying to decide about Civil War, if that's going to be a cool movie or not.
It's A24.
I know, so it's like you have a 1 in 50 chance of it being phenomenal, like
you
the coolest movie you've ever
everything
seen.
ever all at once. And then you have It Follows and all the Hereditary and Midsummer and all the other ones.
And apparently 65.
Oh, was that A24?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we never saw that.
I'll bet you anything. I watched that movie and love it.
I bet you it is a fun movie.
Yeah. There's like nothing in April though.
Okay.
Besides those couple things. And then Fall Guy is kind of next.
And If.
And If.
And then is there anything in June or is we looking at Deadpool and Wolverine in July?
Jeez, dude. There's June is Inside Out 2.
Okay.
That's a big one.
Yeah. That's true.
And then we're in July, which is when we get Deadpool. We get Twisters, which is a little bit more important than Deadpool. Deadpool's when?
I'm out.
Deadpool
July 11th?
July 26th.
26th.
Yeah. Twisters is July 19th though, so we can go just 1 week and then go the next week.
Yeah.
See a lot of big old tornadoes. Cool.
That's what I want.
And then Transformers 1 is coming out in September.
I want a Twisters and it's just tornadoes.
Yes. He gets it. All right, Craig.
Okay.
Bring us home.
This has been another episode of Really, Emma? Actually, crazy. telekinesis is often new. Talking is talking is
Fucking Mo.
is mole extras. I was thinking like mole rat.
Talking is mole.
Talking is mole.
I like that you go, talking is Mo. Mo. Okay, goodbye, everybody. Subscribe and like and comment and give us some money.
And tell us how you think Emma's Poor Things is cool or not. Is Sam pretentious?